Welcome to the SJ Child Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Hi, and thanks so much for joining the SJ Child Show. This is a really special episode, number 250. I often ask myself, how did I even get there? But it's from all of you, from all of these amazing listeners, from all of the support from my family, friends, and tonight you're going to get a special glimpse into what that is like for me, because I have a great guest tonight. Today, for those of you listening in the day. It's just, I wanted to jump on really quick and say how grateful I am to each and every one of you. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime, sjchilds.org, and you can email me straight from the website. I'd love to hear your comments, your questions. If you ever want me to cover any specific topics, please reach out. If you'd ever like to get in contact with anyone that I've previously interviewed, you're also welcome to reach out to me for that. But without any more, thank you so much for your support along the way, and enjoy the 250th episode.
Thanks so much for joining the SJ Child Show today. I'm really excited to talk tonight to somebody that you guys, I think, will find a very interesting story. This is someone who knows not only his own perspective of autism, but also being a parent, and most importantly, being a spouse to someone on the spectrum, as well as being autistic himself. So I'm really excited to have my husband here with me doing this recording. I know that it's been several requests that he's hasn't wanted to do, but he, said, hey, maybe we should do this time. So I'm really glad that he wants to be a part of it. So without further ado.
Well, thanks for having me. And I didn't say, let's just do it. You wanted me for the 250th multiple times you asked. So here we are.
He always has the straight story. I might, have a little bit of fluff to it. No, but it's really great because I think with both of our perspectives, and especially what a lot of you don't know, is that I get so many of my amazing ideas, and so much of my drive and everything has come from him and from his ideas for me and his support. And so I think that it's just going to be really great to be able to kind of hear both perspectives. So, we kind of tried to talk a little bit about like what we were going to talk about and what this episode was going to be about. And we're going to just kind of go off the fly, but I think it'll mostly be about togetherness. I mean, this will be our 20th year together this year, 2024. And with that came mostly amazing and good, but some challenges along the way. And I think that maybe sharing with people how we got through those challenges could help some folks out.
Absolutely. It's been great being a part of the behind the scenes, the being in front of the camera. I get really nervous and sweaty, and I've had to cancel a few podcasts as the pressure has built. But I think that watching you grow through this process and wanting your voice to be louder and just really shining in every aspect, it's been amazing to watch this whole new 30% of you that I didn't know existed. It's been really neat.
Yeah. And it all came because we have that support for one another, and we can really share with people maybe how to build better relationships, not only with each other, but with their kids, Because as you guys have heard me say in lots of episodes before, and even if you're new listening today, we have 3 kids together, a 24-year-old, 14, and a 12-year-old. And that is a big span of parenting that we have been doing.
Yes, it is. And the first kid, we just did what we knew, and that was drawing off of our parents' parenting, which didn't work out so well for us. I don't know why we thought it would work out well for them, but a lot of principal parenting and punishment and cause and effect. And, unfortunately, it caused harm to the first, but it really helped us understand what to do this time. And I don't think we're doing perfect, but I feel like we're doing better.
Yeah. And when right, you do better. When you do better.
Exactly.
And for those of you who are listening, I think the best place to start is just kind of a simple introduction. So, Dustin, please introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself and where you came from, basically.
I grew up in the system. At about age 10, I started getting a lot of felonies and misdemeanors, and just was in and out of group homes for 6 years of my adolescence. So a lot of my at-home parenting was discipline and therapists throughout the entire process. So I kind of approach a lot of situations with I feel and how can we's rather than reacting. But
great skills that you picked up.
it really has proved valuable in parenting. You never really know what you're going to get with our kids from day to day, and being able to be flexible and patient and understanding. I definitely thank all of the therapists, because the impulse and emotional control was off the charts for me as a kid, which led me to juvenile prison at age 17. And I kind of grew up in that year or 16 months I was there, and got out with the idea I needed to get pregnant and married. And that's how the first ex-wife and child happened. Because I find myself to be very logical, but it just was a relationship that wasn't going anywhere. And I think just in what they taught me in the American dream and lockup was, get out, get a job, get a family. That'll keep you out of trouble. And it did. It did. It served its purpose in that way. But I guess she was 4.5, 5 when we met, and I had multiple girlfriends, and usually 2 at a time, until I met Sarah. And even then, I suppose for a while we were both a little promiscuous and seeing multiple people, but from date night 1, we knew that was it. And I think a couple months in, we talked, do we want, what does our idea of success look like? And I mean, we're very early boyfriend, girlfriend, no seriousness, but we both wanted memories more than a boat or an RV or a house and a career. So I think focusing, and the way I worded it was, let's make sure our kids don't grow up to hate us. And that was pretty much what started our let's spend, extra money on vacations or things of that nature. And that really changed, I think, what we saw as important.
Yeah.
A lot of people around us thought maybe we needed matching couches and furniture in order to be happy. And we've we've lived an island for sure
Yeah.
in this. Sorry, my voice is squeaky. I'm nervous at this stuff. So trying to dredge up my past life. But I would say in the 20 years that you and I have been together, it feels like we got 15 past lives in how much we've changed. Sarah doesn't talk a lot about things, but like removing fast food 12, 13 years ago when that wasn't as popular an idea. And to try to feed yourself organic and gluten-free, it was a struggle that we did just to, again, part of the memories of what's important. And being around for our kids has been.
Definitely.
Sorry if I trailed up there.
Fantastic. Because I think that really, ultimately, the decisions that we made together, and we chose to do them together and not, waver from that and vary from that. So it made such a huge difference. And now, we are going to be grandparents.
Yeah.
And
so exciting.
We're thrilled about that. And it also gives us a whole new life of memories to make together and with our family. And so it's just such a whirlwind when you can spend decades with a person and learn so many lessons and see the way that so many people grow and grow yourself. And when you can be like a really good friend to your partner, as well as, trustworthy and loyal and all of the good things that has kept us together over the years. And I want to go back to what you were talking about, how, growing up, because one special person that you had in your life really helped make a difference for what your future was going to look like. And so I want to just give, a little shout out to Aunt Tammy, and bless her heart in the heavens there, and just say what an experience you had with that. And then we can kind of dive into why that makes a difference today.
Okay. So growing up, my sister, and she wasn't a biological sister, but to me at the time, me and my mom lived with friends of the family, and their daughter had Down syndrome. I, up until the age of 21, knew no different, that we were just friends of the family. So my weekends were spent doing Special Olympics and weeknights, special scouts. And the way that they raised her was she was no one different than, and this is in the 80s and 90s, so way ahead of their time. But they let her drive a car for her first time. It was only once, but they gave her the opportunity. And always treated her as an equal in every situation. And I think watching 12 aunts and uncles and all of my cousins treat her exactly the same in every scenario really opened my heart, I guess, because like I said, I was locked up. So there was a very criminal element to me and rough side to me. But as far as Tam went, Aunt Tam, as she was known, she moved in with us, and Sarah took care of her at the end. She was a blessing for her in those final months.
Hi, and thanks so much for joining the SJ Child Show. This is a really...
So in watching the way that everyone treated her, it became evident that the the first years of my career was working for group homes with people with disabilities, seizure disorders, and uh, a couple of autism children as well. When I worked for the autism clinic, they were extreme cases with multiple diagnoses. And I'll tell you, when we got our diagnosis for DJ, that was an impacting thing, because that's what I saw as autism in my memory of it. So, and Sarah and I talked about how saying that it's a disappointment or it is devastating or any of these emotions that you feel can be super harmful for the kids down the road. And she's mentioned that on the show. And the difficulty in tackling just all of the emotions of the things you think you've lost, but not any knowledge of all of the things you gained.
Yeah.
And how just the smallest, oh, you ate a donut today.
Yeah.
So exciting, you know?
Who celebrates, right? My kid ate a pink sprinkled donut with marshmallow inside, and we were having, it's the best thing ever.
So amazing because, you know, at age 3, he would run to the hallway, smash his head into the door, and you feel so hopeless. And at some point, through Sarah's research, we were able to get past that. And now, you know, he's 14 and he's having snowball fights with me and his sister in the front yard, like things we never thought would happen.
No, and I mean, that just barely happened over this last couple days. And I'll tell you what, it was the first time that I've seen him intentionally pick something up and throw it at you, or, you know, well, let's not say that. Let's not say as an intentionally.
In a fun way.
Yeah, in a fun way, and really wanted to like engage you in his world and his idea. So let's go to kind of the beginning when, you know, we were 5. We've been together for 5 years before we found out we were pregnant with DJ, and we got married, and he was diagnosed while I was pregnant with our second. And I think for both of us, I mean, it's just such a different experience because, like you had said, you have this kind of preconceived idea of real experience that you had with real people. And I had none. So I had this like blank idea and was like leeching off of some friends that were, you know, Brandy, I can think of, for example, and just saying, what does this mean? Like, how do I even move forward? What do I do? And she was saying, you love him. He's so great. This is perfect. This isn't going to change anything as far as the way you love him. And of course, you know, it did take some like getting your sea legs. Okay. It took some like figuring out how to be successful for him and for us. And I think that had a lot to do with, the research that I was doing and the information that, you know, but also being able to both of us, because I think in some other, you know, things that I hear in the world, there's not always both sides that are on the same page, that, you know, really want just what's best for their child and not caught in the ego of things, and how that can be really hard for some, you know, spouses to work together. So as far as like both of us really wanted the same thing, we wanted to understand how to give him the best life possible. Whatever it looked like that, we would do that
Well,
for
and
sure.
I think for us in particular, because we're blessed in the idea that we can come to an understanding of what the end goal is, but we are so vastly different as humans. Every single bit of us is different.
Yeah.
And I mean that from one spectrum to the other. You're super nice and outgoing. I'm quiet and grouchy. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
You don't like the sweet thing. I like it sweet, and so it happens that way in parenting on a daily basis, that I'll be upset for said reason at kid for doing this, and you're calm and rational, and then 15 minutes later you're upset and I'm calm and rational. And I mean, it really is such a unique balance. I cannot remember a time we've both been unhinged at any one specific thing ever in the 20 years we've been together, because we see things from so different a realm. I mean, your mom's a nurse and dad's a fighter pilot, and everything's structured with tape and principles. And I just wanted to touch on that when we first started the parenting, and I did have a little more background, and you wanted to be the strict, this is what it is, this is how it is. And it took a bit of change and just basic understanding of like what we went through didn't work for us. We got to get out of this box, and I don't think we realized it with Sydney until it was too late.
Exactly.
For one thing, she had already masked a whole new life in front of us.
Yeah.
And was pretending to be something she wasn't. So we were starting off on the wrong foot there. And so I think, we really were lucky to find each other and balance this.
One really interesting that I can kind of tie this back to what you had said previously, in that you took all of that system therapy and converted it into how you could help those around you. And you might be quiet, but people that love you, like you're really good, deep, friends, are people who always come to you for advice. They want to know that, you can tell them how to help them maneuver through whatever is necessary for them. And it just for us, and as for me, and helping to learn how to communicate in another way that wasn't in the form of yelling, or in, the maybe making being passive aggressiveness, and some other things that definitely, like, I didn't have tools to know how to use otherwise. And so I think that was a big thing, was really learning how to be a good communicator. And that was something that you had in your toolbox already, and that you had already kind of been mastering on your own. And so what a gift to be able to then, like, share with a partner and with your close friends. But then it also goes to the overall picture of being able to speak to your child and learn how to navigate that. With Sydney, it was just learning how to try to be her friend, I suppose, and then understanding when our boundaries had been too much, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, in all fairness, she was pretending to be a Mormon, and we used to joke that she was going to marry a returned missionary and move off and never talk to us again. And so we lived under this, like, we're the bad people that swear and drink and go to bars and play pool, and so it was a very strange upbringing for her. And we, have to mention that she was at her mom's half of the time. So
Yeah.
it was an influence that we had no control over. And, a little back to what you were saying about communicating. I feel like when I hear you talk about masking, it's generally with and about women. And I think unpacking some of my childhood stuff, I realized my masking was this male, angry, loud, aggressive, violent, whatever stereotypical male thing. And that was who I showed up for every emotion. And particularly right now, I'm very emotional and feel like teary-eyed and cry. And as you know, over the last like 5 to 6 years, I've let that happen more than I ever did in the first 15 years.
Yeah.
It was very much don't cry during the show and don't show, but the irrelevance of it all as I get older. Grandpas can cry. Anyone can cry. I just feel like a lot of males and on the spectrum, we don't have any role models that show openly what each emotion looks like. And so it's been kind of a process, since the whole you're on the spectrum diagnosis.
Yeah.
I've allowed myself to unpack whatever computer brain I have that's built from the bottom up and just does what it's always done. It some of it's been useful and some of it's been blah. But for the most part,
Right.
it does help the communication, because then I can empathize more with what Anna's feeling, what Sydney's feeling, what Sarah's feeling, what coworkers are feeling. The amount of, okay, he's mad, but is he really mad or is his feelings hurt? Yeah. DJ just got embarrassed. That's why he's trying to imaginary throw me down the stairs right now. I think it's really been.
And you said something so important too that I think is a stigma is, and I was listening to Autism Live and Temple Grandin was on the show, and a caller or listener, called in and said, is it true that, autistics don't have empathy? What a stigma. And it couldn't be further from the truth. And I think you said exactly. Now, I think that when children are young and they're learning their emotions, that's really hard to gauge and to measure what a child's emotions may be. Not only do they not understand them themselves, so then they can't communicate with that with you, but just everybody is different and they, process information differently. But when you look at the overall of how important it is with empathy, that we realize that humans really, I think, have it in themselves, and they all display it in different ways. But having a role model to be able to show you maybe that it's okay to have big emotions, have some emotions and show them, and then also be able to just work through those and navigate themselves someday, because we've seen, in this process of raising DJ, I remember, really in the very beginning, well, maybe even when he was 4 or 5, trying to do like teaching him how to breathe deep breaths and deep breaths. And we've been working on it for so long. And there was just one day when, I heard him kind of freaking out and went downstairs and peeked around the corner, and he was like taking deep breaths. And it was in that moment that I realized that all of the hard work had just paid off so much. And we can't ever give like, kind of say something's not important or somebody doesn't have this or anything, especially if they don't have a way to show it or don't know that that's what it is, and are able to maybe express it themselves. So,
Well, and as we've seen through all of the relationships with autism, it's about weaknesses and strengths, not has it or doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, to me, the key bit, because that there are so many autistic people who have empathy that may not know how to use it, show it, express it, and just because it's not shown doesn't mean we don't have it. And a lot of, like I said, I learned how to mask through my role models, and in the 80s and 90s it was all macho male, and you carry that into the rest of your adulthood.
Yeah. And, when we had the opportunity to really look at what we were going to offer this child who didn't communicate the same way as other children or his older sister, we really had to teach ourselves, which is a whole nother like outside the box type of thing, but teach ourselves how to communicate with this child and how to understand him and how to be patient for him. And then it also, like I said, I was pregnant with our second. I mean, what kind of things were going through your mind during that time? Like, how did you think that would affect? And not only that, but then getting a diagnosis, 8 years later.
I think that, again, it goes back to having my sister in my life. It wouldn't have mattered if it would have been another super extreme autism, or it was a healthy baby, and that, I think they asked us if we wanted to take the test to find out, and decided it didn't matter what the test was. So no, don't do it. And I mean, I guess my biggest fear was the amount of work it was going to cause you as a stay-at-home mom to have, DJ was a handful. And as you were talking, I was thinking about the things we had to learn. And when he got that flower book and was writing the scientific name for flowers, and he could pronounce them and read them, and we were clueless. They were like 25-letter words.
And he was 4.
And he was 4, writing them all over the house in crayon and marker.
Yeah.
And not so much then as now. He expects us to know the things, the riddles, and when we don't, he gets disappointed, and it's a lot of weird, different pressure to always remember what one specific commercial on the radio means, or what a country. If you're a certain country, then what are we in that moment? But it's just amazingly rewarding when you get it right, and he smiles at you and makes eye contact and runs off, and it's his genuine, true nature smile, not the forced smile we frequently get when we say hello to someone.
Yeah, definitely. It's, man, just been such incredible to think of the journey that it's been, because really when he was in those early years, I mean, we did sign language. He was writing at 2, so we were able to write back and forth. And some ways, more than anything, I made those charts that said my needs and my wants. He was able to point to those things and read them and tell us what he needed and wanted. And
And throughout all of that, we're telling people, no, he can read. Look, he's getting all these words right. He's getting 19 of 25 words correct. And people were, no, there's no way, there's no way, at 9 months telling people he's going to the bathroom on the toilet. And it seems like it's been a real uphill battle for both of us in the way that people have judged and decided what we were doing was not correct. But at the end of the day, it's us that has to live with these kids of ours and be responsible for what they become. And I just want to commend you for all of your research and all the paths that you've led us down that have really benefited both of the children and Sydney as well.
Yeah.
She may not know it now, but when she becomes a mom, she'll sure figure it all out.
Well, most definitely. And to you as well. And also our marriage and like the amount of closeness that we've had. I mean, that's special to us as individuals and human beings. But the shared, I guess, diagnosis, if you will, of, autism, ADHD, you and Anna, dyslexia. And I think that it really gave like this like not even glue, but like this cement to our family and cemented in the fact that we all do like understand one another and really can benefit from knowing how our brains are more the same than they are different as a family unit. Because even as us as spouses, like it was, there was moment where, I had got my brain scan done and came out and kind of understanding at that moment that I had been teasing back and forth, like, well, everybody in the house is on the spectrum. Like, where do I fit in? Well, what am I doing? Kind of a thing. And you would tease me about having my invisible autism card. I could show to people and didn't matter. But
you just got your stuff too much together.
Exactly. Even in that first little while, just sitting on the information and really having it like understanding a little bit more about myself and maybe like my sensory issues, or like you and I had just talked about, I think yesterday, the fact that I kind of lived in fight or flight.
100%. I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
And getting your diagnosis, you were able to relax and all of the little noises and all of the things that for the first 17 years, you were, what's that?
Startled and all the things.
Jumpy, and you would hear everything. And I often try to get people to understand, hey, you might be on the spectrum. And this is the reason why I'm telling you is because you're still getting all these chemicals, even though you're hiding it, even though you're sitting in the desk looking normal, sweating yourself off like I am right now. You're getting all the chemicals, and that's aging us, and that's part of why the life expectancy of autism is lower, I think. And seeing you be able to exist and relax just in your being while you're doing work, and not oh no, they're gonna find out I'm this or I'm that, and just embracing who we are and existing has really been, I mean, it's been freeing for me.
Yeah.
I was a little meaner at first. I was saying my mind a lot more than I would ever have before.
You were like, hey, it's okay. I'm autistic. I can say what I want and be blunt if I need to be. No, and I think that, just comes with being with maturity and with growing and realizing that, yeah, you can say, you're always free to say what you want, but you're never free from the consequences from saying what you want. So
that's true.
So it's been really, really great to have you here to get your perspective and to kind of, hear about masking and things like that from your perspective, I think is a really great point that I thought about when you were talking, that comes to me now, that is really important, I think, for men to hear, and it's okay, like, to unmask, to, especially like with your partner or with your kids. So it's been great to do this episode, and special 250th episode. Holy moly, can't believe this.
It's amazing how far you've come from I want a louder voice. You've really done a lot. And I'm glad to be here. Hopefully we can get a more focused line of questions on the next one and cover some non-rambly stuff. But it's been really, really good to be here. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I love you.
I love
And
you.
you're great at being perfect.
And you're perfect at being great. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.